Yes, if you want, we can put in the bottom, and I put the screen after.
Okay.
Okay, now it's turn on. Remove. I'm gonna put one movie only to
marcou muita coisa, os formadores, os colegas, a forma de trabalhar.
A quantidade de informação que conseguiram passar praticamente num mês, ou menos de um mês.
Para quem ama e gosta de bar, dá para chegar a todos os pontos, desde de um destilado a um fermentado, conseguimos absorver uma quantidade enorme de conteúdo.
Todos eles percebiam mesmo das áreas que estavam aqui a falar, muitos deles percebiam muito mais áreas até, que facilitava muito. Falámos de muitas coisas e acabámos por falar de várias coisas numa aula que supostamente era sobre vodka, falámos de conhaques e de outras coisas, isso facilitava também bastante.
Adorei todos os formadores, Hugo Silva, Pedro Costa.
Gostei muito do Lapa, por exemplo.
Sabem aquilo que ensinam, a gente...
Teachers are all excellent. In the world, excellent teacher in the Europe, to say.
Já recomendei bastante, tanto através das redes sociais, como através de boca a boca, para amigos e de amigos para outros amigos, e recomendo a 100%.
Recomendaria. E já recomendei a muitos colegas meus também que têm uma paixão pela área.
A toda a gente que quer ingressar nesta área de bar e que não tem conhecimentos, acho que este curso é uma mais-valia.
E cá estamos hoje, vamos ter ISAC MELANDER, Global Ambassador da Naked GROUSE, um whisky, em que nós também iremos ter como nosso mediador um ex-campeão mundial, Nino Lopes, também consultor mundial, que está neste momento connosco na Cocktail Team e já fez consultoria no Dubai, França, Espanha, portanto em muitos locais. Aproveitem este momento que nós iremos estar em conjunto. Vou chamar já o Nino. Muito obrigado, Nino, por estares connosco, e Isaac, e vou-vos deixar aqui para vocês estarem à vontade. Hi, Isaac, it's a pleasure, and bye, see you later.
Thank you.
Isaac.
Thank you.
Isaac, so we are now live.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing we would like to ask you is, how did it all start in Famous Grouse?
Famous Grouse is a different story, man.
Sorry,
I can tell you that one as well if you want.
No. Sorry, apologies, mate. I really apologies. Naked Grouse. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll speak to you in English, and then I will translate in Portuguese, okay?
Okay.
Então, boa tarde para todos. O meu nome é Nino Lopes, estou aqui com o Isaac, Global Ambassador do Naked Grouse. E então o que vou fazer é praticamente vou fazer as perguntas em inglês e depois em português, e se vocês tiverem algumas perguntas para fazer, é só fazerem aí no YouTube ou no Instagram, e depois eu passo aqui para o Isaac, ok? A primeira pergunta é então, como é que tudo começou para o Isaac? So, Isaac, how did it all start? First of all, I think you started as a bartender, right?
It's correct. It's correct. I started as a kitchen porter, to be very correct, quite some years ago now. It makes you realize that you are getting older when you think of the year you started. But for me, I started as a kitchen porter in my hometown in Visby. It's a small island outside of Stockholm, sort of. So I started as a kitchen porter there in a restaurant when I was 17, and then sort of fell in love with the industry. Tried a few different things for a few years, but then I've been bartending since I was 21 full time, mainly in Sweden, but also a couple of years in London. So yeah, that's sort of where I started.
I'll translate it now to the Portuguese guys.
Yeah,
então, para quem não tem dificuldade em inglês, o Isaac começou como um kitchen porter, como um KP, como um lava-pratos, ou como na nossa terminologia a gente chama um DJ, por lavar os pratos.
Washing the pants, man.
Yeah. E então, só depois com os seus 20 e poucos anos é que ele começou mesmo a trabalhar como bartender. Okay, isto em Stockholm. Isaac, so tell me about the bartending. So how, your passion for drinks, how did it all start?
Well, there's many people to thank, I believe, but for me, to be very honest, like when I started bartending, we did very, very simple drinks, and it was mainly to get phone numbers and tips, I guess. The ones who tell you something different, they're lying, man. That's why we started bartending for sure. But on a serious level, when I lived in London, we lived on Old Compton Street, in the middle of Soho. We lived on the 4th floor in a building, and on the ground floor there was a bar called the Lab. Today it's called Swift, but back then it was called Lab, and those guys were back then top 10 in the world, I believe. And sitting every little minute I had off, I was sitting in their bar and watching them, and I think that's where the real passion and inspiration to bartending in general came from. Fantastic guys.
Ok. So, o Isaac, então, como as palavras dele ele começou praticamente bartender, não tanto trabalhar como bartender, não tanto pelo amor à profissão, mas mais numa de querer arranjar números para engatar miúdas e coisas assim, e as bebidas que ele fazia na altura, antes de mudar para Londres, eram bebidas muito básicas, ok? Só depois, quando ele se mudou para Londres, ele mudou-se para uma rua em Soho, que é uma rua que é famosa por ter os melhores bares da Inglaterra, que é Old Compton Street. Um desses bares na altura era what's the name of the bar again, you said? Old
Lab.
Compton? Lab, yeah, because Floridita used to be there as well, right?
Don't know, man. Maybe many years ago. It's opposite to Termini.
Yeah.
Just opposite Termini.
Yeah. E então, bares como a Floridita eram nessa rua, que infelizmente já não existe, a Floridita, um fogo há uns anos atrás. O famoso Lab, que já não existe Lab, agora é o Swift. Há uns anos atrás também mudaram de gerência, e mesmo em frente ao Swift tem o famoso bar, que acho que foi o melhor bar do mundo também, o Termini, de Tony Conigliaro. Okay? Então o Isaac passou muitos dias na altura. O Lab era o melhor bar da Inglaterra, ou top 10 do mundo, e foi lá que ele começou a ganhar inspiração. So, Lab, what happened after Lab?
Well, after Lab, I worked in different places in London, but I worked my last year at Supper Club, which was a very very influential then, or very hip at least. But then I felt like it was time to move home, so I moved back to Sweden. Worked a few different bars in my hometown, and then I moved to Stockholm in 2012. And I started bartending here. Worked as a bartender in a couple of places, and then bar managing a couple of places until 2016, when I got a call from Edrington, and they asked me if I wanted to become the Nordic brand ambassador for Naked Grouse then.
Ok, então o Isaac, como ele explica, é que depois de um pequeno tempo na Inglaterra, ele depois voltou para Stockholm, onde foi gerente de bar e depois de uns quantos sítios, bartender ou head bartender e depois gerente, e depois foi convidado para ser embaixador do Norte da Europa para o Naked Grouse. So, then your journey came all the way to Naked Grouse, yeah? And just tell us, tell us about the brands and tell us about everything.
Okay, sure. Should I do my presentation, you think? Or
Yeah.
I'll do that, and then I will swap my face for my screen. No,
okay.
The Instagram people, they will have to watch me, I guess. Or hang on, I'll just have to rearrange a little bit.
Swap it. You can swap the camera if you want for the presentation.
Yeah.
O Isaac então vai-vos mostrar agora a apresentação sobre o Naked Grouse.
We can also welcome you. We can welcome you to the headquarters, the Nordic headquarters here in Stockholm. I'm very, very alone here in my office at the moment due to COVID. Obviously, we're not allowed to be here, but I am, and now I'm live, so now everyone knows I'm here. So it's an epic fail here.
Então, o que o Isaac está a dizer é que ele está agora no headquarters de Naked Grouse, no norte, e em Stockholm, e então ele não deveria estar lá, mas agora como está live, é um epic fail porque toda a gente está a ver. Okay, show us the presentation. Então,
all right, let's go. Okay, so welcome. We've already done that part, I guess. As we mentioned, now this is me. We have heard about me and where I started and how I ended up where I am. I will tell you a bit more about the Naked Grouse journey for me as well, because it's sort of included in this. But we have to start somewhere else, I believe, and we have to start with Scotch whiskey history in a very, very short version of it. It's super long, but I won't bore you with it. But I think it's important to understand how such a small country can produce such a massive global spirit. And that, of course, is a few reasons to it, but I will mention a couple. You can see here on my screen, and you guys who follow on the other channels just probably see it better than on Instagram. But anyways, Scotch whiskey history. You have to understand the battle that's always been between England and Scotland. They actually made a documentary about it in the 90s. It's called Braveheart. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's
the movie. Yeah.
My friend always tells me also they did the Braveheart 2. It's called The Patriot, but no one has ever seen it. Anyways, so the battle between, why is that important? Well, it's important because England always wanted that part of the country, and Scotland never wanted to let go. And latest was in 2014, there was actually an election for Scotland to leave UK. So they're still not very good friends. But the English people wanted the money from Scotland, so they came up to get taxes or tax everything to get more money. And of course, they also put tax on the whiskey. This is something that the Scotchmen had tried to do earlier on, but never really succeeded with. But in 1707, the first version of of the UK was formed. And then the English people came up and they started to put tax on stuff, and then it started to happen for real. But it's not until 1823 it really settles. And what happens then is that the English managed to put tax on Scotch whiskey. So you can see on many famous brands, you can see the years 1823, 1824, 1825, and so on, that they were founded or started making whiskey then. This is absolutely not true. They were making whiskey way before that, but that's the year the government took them, so to speak. So they had to start paying taxes start paying taxes. Like Macallan, you can see 1824 on their bottle. That's not the year they started making whiskey in Macallan. This is the year when they got caught. So that's a start. So now we have Scotch whiskey in England. England is drinking gin, they're drinking wine, they're drinking champagne, they're drinking cognac. And I don't know if there's any English people listening now, but it is very true that they always wanted to be like the French people. They would never admit it themselves, but it's the way it is.
Isaac, give me a second. Let me translate this to Portuguese really quick.
Yeah, okay.
Ok.
Sorry,
Então,
sorry.
no, it's okay. Então, para os que não perceberam, vou tentar reduzir aqui em palavras muito rápidas. Praticamente tudo começa com a Guerra da Escócia e Inglaterra, onde os escoceses sempre produziram whisky ilegalmente. Essa guerra é uma guerra que, apesar de hoje eles não chamarem guerra, ainda existe ali um bocado de conflito, porque sempre foi uma parte do Reino Unido que a Inglaterra quis conquistar. Digamos, por um lado, é um bocado parecido a Espanha e Portugal. Nós tivemos um período também em que os espanhóis tentaram conquistar Portugal e depois nós ganhamos um bom bocado de terra de volta, e com a Escócia foi a mesma coisa. Então, o que o Isaac estava-nos a dizer também é que praticamente a maior parte, ou todas as marcas de whisky fabricadas que vocês veem agora, a data que vocês veem nas garrafas não quer dizer que é a data de quando eles começaram a produzir, mas sim a data de quando é que eles foram apanhados depois de 1700 ou de 1800, e na formação do Reino Unido começaram a ser o tax, começaram a ter que pagar tax para poderem ser vendidos. Ok, let's go, Isaac. So yes. I got all the way to the taxation.
Perfect, and I managed to drop my phone in the middle of it. So, okay, all right. So we are now in 1830-ish. This is where the colon still is also invented. Before there were only pot stills, so now they invented the colon still, which made it possible for them to produce spirit all the time. So it just goes around and around and around.
Yeah.
So you don't have to stop and clean every time, which makes you be able to produce spirit much faster.
Okay, let me just recap that. So 1830s, yeah, we are in 1830s. Então estamos aqui em 1830, praticamente o ano em que a column steel foi criada, portanto era a coffee steel ou copper steel que existia antes. A grande diferença da column steel para o copper steel é que não temos que fazer limpezas constantes depois da fermentação e da destilação. É um movimento constante. Okay? Let's go.
Perfect. So now we have Scotch whiskey in Scotland and in England. But the Englishmen, the whiskey they buy is then what we today call single malts, or maybe even single cask whiskies, to be fair. But so they are, some of them are good, some of them are not very good. And the main problem is that you can go in and you buy one day and you come back the next day and it will taste different. So what the Scotchman invent in the 1860s is the blended Scotch technique then. So basically you blend grain whiskey with malt whiskey and you get a much smoother, easier whiskey to drink. And it's consistent. It tastes the same. Always tastes the same.
Yeah. Ok, então eu acho que a melhor coisa que nós podemos fazer é se alguém não perceber o que o Isaac está a dizer em inglês, aqui no Instagram, ponham as vossas perguntas e eu pergunto-lhe a ele. Assim será mais fácil, porque eu vou deduzir que a maioria de vocês percebe inglês, ok? Isaac, let's go.
Okay, so we have the blend technique now, but in the 1860s, something else which is very important for the Scotch whiskey history happens, and it is on Instagram. You will see a close-up now.
1850?
1860s.
1860s.
And it's something called phylloxera, or like a wine bug. It is what it is. It's
the bug.
Yeah. So it's a small bug that comes on boats from America, on the timber boats from America, and ends up in France. And what it does is it eats up all the wine plants, or 70% of all the wine plots in France. And the effect of this is then, if you don't have any wine plants, you don't have any grapes. If you don't have grapes, you can't make wine, you can't make champagne, you can't make cognac, or you can't make brandy. Simple as that. So the English people can't buy any of this anymore, but they still want to get drunk. So they have their ales, they have their gins, and now they're starting to consume Scotch whiskey very, very heavily.
Ok, então, por volta de 1860 foi a tal pandemia europeia, um bichinho que veio lá das Américas e devastou a maioria das vinhas na França. Nessa altura, nessa época, as bebidas francesas eram muito populares, principalmente no Reino Unido, era o cognac, tudo que era feito de uva, cognacs, vinhos e para aí. E então, como houve uma grande devastação, não havia aquele acesso às bebidas espirituosas e aos vinhos que os ingleses tinham, e então começaram-se a virar para o whisky. Yes.
Perfect.
So, after the bug...
After the bug, so now we have the Scotch whiskey coming out in Europe. This is also a time where many famous cocktails are created, because basically, you were doing it on other spirits, and now you only have Scotch, so you start making on Scotch, sort of. But the next important thing for Scotch whiskey history to make it the global spirit that it is today is this. Then in 1920. Prohibition is set in America, so you're not allowed to sell spirits in America, which makes the bourbon makers go broke, or they can't make any spirit. They can't sell it anyways. So
at least legally, right?
At least legally, exactly. And this legally is the important part here, because people still want to drink. And what can they drink then? Well, they can drink moonshine, and they can drink illegal bourbon, but also there is a lot of smuggled whiskey coming into the country, and especially then Scotch whiskey and Irish whiskey. But so now we have Scotch whiskey in America.
Então, depois o que aconteceu, como a maioria de vocês sabem, 1920, when was the prohibition?
1920.
1920. Aconteceu a prohibition nos Estados Unidos, em 1920, onde consumir álcool era impossível, ou era ilegal, e comprar e vender também. Claro que quem sabe da Prohibition sabe que o álcool continuava a ser acessível, mas muito, muito difícil. E então, o que é que aconteceu? Houve um grande boom, o que ajudou ainda mais no Reino Unido o consumo do whisky. Yes, Isaac, to you.
Yes, and to make it then the global spirit that it is today, we needed something else, and this is created in Hollywood. So after the Second World War, the movies that came out, the people that were the famous people, the people you looked up to, the people you wanted to be in those kind of movies, they were drinking champagne and Scotch whiskey. So now we are a global spirit.
Então, como as palavras do Isaac foi que praticamente o boom foi mesmo quando os atores de Hollywood e todos aqueles que estavam ligados a Hollywood começaram-se a virar para o Scotch whisky, para o whisky, e depois a partir daí é o que é hoje. Okay? Houve um grande boom e desde então ainda não parou. Isaac.
Perfect. So, where do we come in then? So for Naked Grouse is a very young brand. We are so let's start with Scotch whiskey. Maybe Scotch whiskey can be made in 5 ways. You can make single grain whiskey. You can make blended grain whiskey. You can make single malt whiskey, or you can make blended malt whiskey, which is a combination of different single malt whiskeys, or you can make a blended Scotch, so a combination of grain whiskey and malt whiskey. Naked Grouse is a blended malt whiskey. Do you want to do a translation there, or do you want me to keep on going?
It's very 2 seconds. Ok, então no mundo do whisky existem 5 maneiras de fazer whiskies e praticamente o Naked Grouse é blended malt. Okay, Isaac.
Perfect. Go. Yes. So Naked Grouse was first created in 2011. Back then, it was created as a blended Scotch. Because what happened was that we had a lot of Edrington, the big whiskey company that owns Famous Grouse, Highland Park, Macallan, Glenrothes, and a couple of other brands. Has always worked very close with Jerez down in south of Spain. So we and the sherry production. So sherry casks is something that's been very important to us for eternity.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. Go on.
Let me just move on. So, então o Famous Grouse foi uma marca que foi lançada em 2011. Nessa altura era blended Scotch. E como os donos da companhia eram grandes fãs de barricas de sherry, com madeira de sherry, decidiram fazer então o aging process nessas barricas. Yeah, spoken about the cherries.
Yes. So what we had was sherry casks that has been used a couple of times, but there was still a lot of flavor left in them. So what we decided to do was to pour blended Scotch whiskey into sherry casks and leave it there for a bit. And it tasted fantastic when we took it out. And we thought, like, what should we call this? And Edrington back then wanted to make a whiskey that was not hiding behind labels or age statement. They just wanted to show the naked liquid. So that's where the name then comes from.
Ok. Então, praticamente o nome do produto vem de uma ideia de querer fazer um whisky que não escondesse nada. Um whisky em que o consumidor pudesse beber e apreciar e conhecer ou dar a distinguir tudo o que está lá dentro no copo. Então, eles chegaram ao conceito de que naked seria a palavra correta, Naked Grouse, e aí então um whisky praticamente não tem nada a esconder. Pelo que o Isaac me diz. Yeah. So.
All right. So, and then in 2013, something happened in Sweden, the country where I'm from. We have a monopoly system here. So we have the government selling the booze from one store pretty much. And they were asking for a blended malt. So we asked the whiskey makers in Scotland, can we have a blended malt, please? And they say, why not make the Naked Grouse blended malt for you guys? So they did. We won this tender, so we came into the monopoly with Naked Grouse blended malt. So the first drops of the blended malt version was poured in Sweden in 2013, December. Okay. It was me and my good friend Peter who was doing that event. I wasn't working for the company back then. I was bartending, but was there to make that event.
Oh, fantastic. Ok, então praticamente a Suécia é um daqueles países que o governo é que importa as bebidas, não tem importadores, o governo é que faz isso, então importa e depois vende para lojas. Então passa tudo pelo governo. E na altura eles estavam à procura de um blended malt, e eles depois voltaram para a Escócia e pediram aos Master Blenders para ver o que eles podiam fazer, e eles então disseram porque que a gente não pode fazer um blend de Naked Grouse, praticamente. E então foi em 2013, o Isaac estava-me a dizer que ele estava presente no lançamento, não não a trabalhar oficialmente para a marca, mas sim como um bartender no primeiro evento. Yes, so I've spoken about the event, 2013.
Perfect. And what we did in the Nordics then was that we started working very close with the cocktail bars here, because we believe that Naked Grouse was a perfect cocktail base. Global picked up on this, and in 2016 we decided to not only hire me, which was a very good decision by them, but also to move over from blended Scotch to blended malt globally. So in
2016,
we just took the decision. In 2017, we went for blended malt all over the world, and Norway was the last country to get the blended malt.
Então o Blended Malt foi só criado em 2017. Nessa altura, you said 2016 you started working for them, or was it 17 as well?
16 I started working for them, yes.
Então eles começaram a trabalhar, o ISAC começou a trabalhar full-time como ambassador em 2016 e depois foi o lançamento global on Blended Malt. Yeah, so after the launch...
So after the launch in 2017, then we have a blended malt all over the world. We have grown quite fast, to be honest. We are now in 70 different countries, with Taiwan as our biggest market, followed by Nordics is big, UK is quite big, of course. We are growing also very rapidly in Australia and South Africa. So we are spreading all over the world, even with the Naked Grouse.
Então, Naked Grouse, como vocês já estão a ver, então, o produto que nós temos hoje aqui à venda no nosso mercado é um produto que vem praticamente desde 2016, 2017. Pode-se dizer que no mercado é um produto novo ainda, é jovem. Taiwan é o seu maior mercado, onde eles vendem mais produto, mas já estão em 60 e poucos países e o Isaac diz que estão a crescer muito rapidamente. So, what's the plan for the future?
The plan for the future, I will come to that actually, but first, before we talk about that, I want to introduce you to this lovely lady. This is Diane Stewart. She is the master blender of Naked Grouse. Nice. Without her, we don't have any whiskey.
Okay.
And I thought as well, if I'm allowed, I would like Diane to, through a couple of videos, let you know how Scotch whiskey is made.
Let's go.
Right, so let me get started here.
O Isaac agora vai pôr aqui uns pequenos vídeos. Aquela era a fotografia da Master Blender, a criadora do produto. Ele vai nos mostrar uns vídeos aqui feitos por ela. O vídeo só está a aparecer no Instagram.
Estou a ver que ele parou.
Eu acho que ele deve estar com uma ligação, mas não, ele continua no Insta, aqui no StreamYard. Yeah, Isaac, you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, seems to be a delay. Seems to be a delay. That's all.
Okay. That's fine, I guess. So that was the first process of how to make whiskey, and we will now watch another little film from Diane on fermentation and distillation. It's only a minute, guys, so don't worry.
Yeah. Do you want to put the volume? Can you put the volume higher on a laptop?
Okay. How do I do that then? I think I have my headphones plugged in here, but.
Okay, leave it then.
Okay, let's do it like this. I will show the film here. Very quick, or we can skip it. It doesn't matter. And I will just. Okay. But I can end anyways.
I've got one of the guys is saying there's no sound on the Instagram. So is this video something that you could share if they need it? if they wanted to know?
I was just gonna say, if you want to see these with sound, because I realized why there's no sound, because I have my headphones plugged in to my computer. But if you want to see these films, please go on to the Naked Grouse Instagram, and they're all there.
Ok. Então, o Isaac, o que eu queria fazer era tentar mostrar aqui uns vídeos de como é que o Naked Grouse é feito, mas como ele tem os headphones ligados ao computador, vocês não conseguem ouvir nada, é por isso que não tem som. Então, ele diz que se vocês forem à página do Naked Grouse, vocês conseguem ver os vídeos de qualquer maneira. Okay, sorry about that, Isaac.
No worries.
I explained the guys that the video is available on the website.
Yeah. So let's run the second film here, and then we talk more afterwards.
Okay. I'm just gonna give me a second. Be back in a second.
Naked's Master Blender, and welcome 101. And a bit of the washback, we started to the work to kickstart the process. Sugars are converted into a low-strength alcoholic liquid, water. The water still the act like a giant kettle. The process of distillation concentrates the aromatic flavor compounds created during fermentation. The shape, size, and the copper material distilled will have a big impact on the flavor. Whiskey is typically distilled twice. This produces a liquid mixed with it. And that's episode number 3.
All right, guys. So that was briefly like what was in the film is fermentation and distillation. And as Nino was saying, all these films, there are 4 of them, are on our global Instagram. So just go on to Naked Grouse and you will find them there with sound.
Ok, então a Isaac diz mais uma vez, para quem teve dificuldades em ver ou ouvir o vídeo, vocês podem encontrar os 4 vídeos no website do Naked Grouse. Okay, message given.
Right, so then what we went through there was then how to make Scotch whiskey. What we then do is that we take the finest single malt. So we use single malts from distilleries that we own ourselves. And then we put them into sherry casks. First fill sherry cask is very important to remember, because sherry casks or casks in general works like a tea bag, so to speak. So if you want to make tea, you take a tea bag, put it in hot water, and you will have loads of flavor. If you take the same bag and you put it into another cup of tea with hot water, or a cup with hot water, it will still taste a lot, but not as much. If you then take the same bag and put it into the next cup, it will technically still be tea, but it won't really taste a lot anymore. So what we have here for Naked Grouse is first fill sherry cask. So this cask has only been sherry on them before we put our blend into them. So we got loads of flavors from those casks. So it's important to remember when we talk about Naked Grouse.
Ok. Então, o que o Isaac está aqui a explicar é que as castas de madeira que já foram utilizadas, which oak is it? Is it French oak? Is it, what type of cast is it?
It's American oak.
American oak, okay.
And European oak, but no, it's American oak. But the sherry casks, sherry is the important part here.
Yeah. Okay.
Oloroso sherry casks.
Oloroso, ok. Então, o que o Isaac aqui está-nos a explicar, pronto, é que uma das coisas, se não a coisa mais importante, é o facto das barricas de madeira terem sido utilizadas anteriormente para sherry. Ok? Porque sem isso o produto não seria o que é agora. Yeah?
Right. Let me now talk to you about, you were asking about the future.
Yes.
And the way we see it, and the way we are looking forward to it. I mean, the future. I mean, all of us are really looking forward to the future now, because we're all sick of it. I'm not going to swear, but this pandemic is making me crazy. But what we see, or saw at least before the pandemic broke out, is for the modern bartender. we believe that pouring is boring. All of us that works with cocktails, we want to create our signature serves, and we are bored with making classic gin tonics and such. We want to create our own and set our mark on our bars and our drinks, and our consumers, our guests, the people that actually comes to our bars. They drink less, they drink better, and they want quality. Simple as that. And to be able to satisfy both the modern bartender and the modern guest, you need a flexible product that has no rules really. So you can play with it as much as you want, and the guest will have a new experience every time they want to have one. So that's a bit of how we see the future.
Ok. Então a minha pergunta para o Isaac é como é que ele vê o futuro da marca, o futuro das bebidas, e o ponto de vista da marca do Isaac é que os bartenders, todos eles querem ter a sua assinatura, querem ter o seu cocktail signature, e por que não fazê-lo com uma marca como Naked Grouse, porque é uma marca, é um produto muito versátil. Ele diz que os bartenders modernos hoje em dia estão fartos de fazer gin tonics, e então eles estão fartos de como ele diz, pouring, e então o que é verdade, que eu também nas minhas viagens também percebo muito isso, que com a tecnologia que nós temos hoje em dia, e que não é para todos, porque custa dinheiro, mas aqueles que conseguem pegar a certas máquinas hoje em dia, é quase tudo, os melhores bares do mundo fazem tudo quase em batch. Porquê? Porque os clientes hoje em dia também sabem mais sobre os produtos, muitos sabem tanto como bartenders, ou mais do que certos bartenders, e então bebem pouco, mas bebem melhor. Ok, praticamente é o que o Isaac está a dizer. So, Isaac, the guests now these days, like you said, they come to the bar and they drink less, but they drink better.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said the versatility is the way forward. So after that, after the pandemic, what do you think? Is there anything? Have you thought about what the trends are going to be?
100%, man. And I have a slide on this actually. Thank you for asking. No, but what we saw before, and what I think has shown through this pandemic is for your bars, make your menu count. We have a freedom as bartenders compared to the chefs, that we can be super creative with our menus. We've seen in many countries that has had very, very hard restriction, is that you have to sit down, you're not allowed to stand in bars and so on, and that makes people sit down and they want to read the menu, they want to see something that excites them. So I do believe this trend with making fantastic menus is something that will not be a trend. It will become something that everyone is working with. I have a few examples here from this one you might have remembered from Artesian in London a couple of years ago when Remy Savage was there. We have the Himcook menu from Oslo, Norway. Desire and Dreams was a menu with gummy bears that Joe Schofield and Chef Ryan Cliff was making in Tipling Club in Singapore. And then we have some Swedish examples. This one is from Grand Hotel, where they made a menu, a play on the old game Mix Max. And also we have a Swedish bar called Hecht Advanced that they made a Tinder menu. So they actually had profiles from the bar industry in Sweden have their own Tinder profiles, sort of, and you pick the drink from that. So I think, and this sort of is just to show how playful and how creative you can be, and there's no limits to how creative you can be. I mean, Remy Savage is opening a bar without a name. He has shapes for a name. I mean, there's no rules for us in the bar, and I believe this, when the pandemic opens, is going to be maybe even more important than before.
Então, praticamente o que o Isaac está aqui a mostrar-nos são vários tipos de menus que que existe em vários bares de Inglaterra à Suécia, e é praticamente para vocês verem que isto é a imaginação que as pessoas, as pessoas estão a usar do momento por causa da pandemia. Muitos deles estão a fazer menus por causa do social distancing e os que podem estar abertos, e então vê-se coisas muito originais agora de momento, ok? Mas isto, se vocês forem online, vocês fazem uma pesquisa, new trends, menus, vocês podem ver isso. Isaac, I have a question for you from Augusto Silva.
Perfect.
How many years in the cherry cask?
Well, we to be able to call it Scotch whiskey, it needs to be aged minimum 3 years. So ours is aged way longer than that, but the last finish in cherry cask is between 6 months to a year.
Okay, so definitely definitely more than 3 years, of course.
Definitely more than 3 years.
Otherwise you couldn't. But I imagine you can't tell us that because of secrecy, company policy or something.
Yes, correct.
Ok, Augusto Silva, então, pronto, mais que 3 anos. Ele não nos quer dizer exatamente a pergunta do Augusto Silva. Para quem está no Instagram, não sei se conseguem ver, ele está aqui a fazer uma pergunta, a perguntar quantos anos é que o Naked Grouse fica numa casta de sherry, e o Isaac não diz, pronto, por motivos da companhia, não nos pode dizer exatamente quantos são, mas são mais de 3 anos. E quem tiver mais perguntas, força, estejam à vontade. Okay.
Yeah, but I think you can just be clear on like the last finish in the sherry casks are between 6 months to 1 year, but that's just the last touch to it, so to speak.
Ok. Então o último período é de seja 1 ano. What do you mean the last finish? Because you've got those initial years. Do you take it off the cast and you put it back again? How do you explain that?
All right. So what we do is when you do a blended malt, we take different malts. So we have so let's say Highland Park here. Let's say Macallan here, and let's say Glenrothes here. So we take bits from these and we put them together and make our blend, and then we put that blend on the sherry casks for the last 6 months to a year. But those whiskies before has been aged for a long time, so
for
that's
longer. Okay,
much longer.
Okay, but not in sherry casks.
Some of them.
Ok, então pronto, voltando aqui à pergunta do Isaac, esqueci-me o nome do rapaz, já não aparece aqui. Praticamente o que é que eles fazem? Eles fazem praticamente um blend de vários scotches, uns que já foram envelhecidos em castas de sherry e outros não, e depois põem o blend todo numa casta final, que é a casta de sherry, que fica aí até o período de 1 ano. Ok, explained.
Perfect. Perfect.
So, any have you been to Portugal before?
I have been to Portugal. I've been twice. First time I was over, I was there with Ruby from Copenhagen. We did a seminar and a shift at Red Frog in Lisbon.
Okay. So you used to work at Ruby? In Ruby?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
We were hosting with Naked Grouse. We did a global initiative, which was called the Bar Swap. So we took bars from different countries, and they swapped.
You mixed up and stuff. Yeah. I love Ruby. Ruby's a cool place. I used to go there several times.
It's a fantastic place. It's one of the most important bars in the Nordic cocktail scene. They've been around for, I think, 12 or 13 years or something. So they were very, very early on the modern cocktail, and they were also maybe I'm not going to say they were the first, but they were absolutely one of the first who started making cocktails with Nordic ingredients, so local ingredients.
I agree with you. I've met the owner. She's Scottish.
Yes.
And I used to go there. I used to do some work with Tony Conigliaro, so I used to spend some time in Noma.
Wicked.
And I used to go there and drink. I used to go to a bar called 1105
Yep.
as well. I think from Gobbit, or Gobbit. I can't remember his name. I think he's English, but he's been in Copenhagen for so long. Great place. Great place.
Okay. Gourmet, maybe.
Gourmet, yeah, something like I can't pronounce his name.
Fantastic person. But anyways,
okay, sorry, let me just translate this. Translate this to the guys. Então, o que o Isaac estava-me aqui a dizer é que ele já esteve em Lisboa, fez um guest shift no Red Frog, esteve no Ruby também. Quando há uns anos atrás houve uma iniciativa em vários bares do mundo onde eles trocavam bartenders. Eu tive a felicidade de fazer isso também. I did what you've done with Ruby. I did it with back in Scotland. What's the name of the bar? In Edinburgh.
Are you thinking Bramble or
Bramble?
You think...
Yeah, Bramble. From Jason Scott. E então eles faziam esse exchange e então eles acabaram aqui em Lisboa. What did you think about the cocktail trend here in Portugal? And feel free to, no one's going to take it personal.
No, don't worry. For me, because I was there with and then we had Paolo and Emmanuel over to Denmark, and then I've been another time doing a shift on my own at Red Frog as well. And from my experience, I believe that it's an upcoming country for sure. But I think the problem for you guys in Portugal is that a beer costs nothing, and a cocktail costs quite a lot. So people can drink like 10 beers for one cocktail or something, and that is always going to be a difficulty because you can't lower your price on your drinks maybe, and how do you get people to choose that drink? And I think Portugal as a country is upcoming. With this, we had we did a thing with Naked Grouse in Scotland in 2019, where we had Nelson from Porto coming over as well. So and he did a really nice drink over there. So I think it's an upcoming country. But I think there's an issue there with the pricing, maybe.
It's not just that. I think salaries in Portugal tend to be very low as well, and financially. Então eu estava aqui a perguntar ao Isaac o que ele pensou, as vezes que ele cá esteve em Portugal, o que ele achou dos bartenders, da logística, de tudo o que é feito em Portugal, ou em Lisboa, neste caso Lisboa e Porto, foi onde ele passou mais tempo. E a justificação dele é que Portugal é um país que muito rapidamente se está a tornar virado mais para a cultura de cocktails não só clássicos, mas new trends. E a desvantagem que nós temos aqui, praticamente, é o que todos nós sabemos, são os salários e o facto de uma cerveja ser muito mais barata, ou várias cervejas serem muito mais baratas que um bom cocktail, o que põe as pessoas de fora. Isaac, I've got another question for you. Yep. What are the main advantages of using a blended malt? Or he says here a famous. Well, the question is, what are the advantages of using a blended malt or a famous in the malt? I don't know what he really means with that.
If we can guess on what it means,
I think he probably wants to say Naked Grouse, because Naked Grouse is from the family of the famous grouse. So I think the question here: what's the difference between using a famous grouse and the naked? In the cocktail. Yep. What are the differences?
Well, first of all, famous grouse is a fantastic product, but it is a blended Scotch, so you have both grain and malt, which makes it a bit. How to say, a bit less full-bodied. So you will get, with Naked, you get a much more full-bodied spirit. It also, because it doesn't have any grain, it plays better with many other ingredients. So I can show you on my screen here. Hang on.
Would you say that the naked is a product that you would go better on the sort of how to put it, on an older generation or someone? Actually, the way I'm trying to explain is, do you think naked grouse will be a bit more for a cocktail like the old fashioned, and the famous grouse, a cocktail which would be something a bit more lost in fruits and berries? Just because of the characteristics of flavor.
I understand.
But here you are.
Here we are. Should we?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Show it here as well. Well, for me, naked works fantastic. Neat on ice.
Isaac, I can only see on Instagram. I can only see 2 drinks. Can you go back a bit so you can see all 3 of them? Yeah,
okay,
cool.
sorry.
Thank you. Okay, let me just explain to the guys. Então, para a resposta àquela pergunta, aqui tem os cocktails. Como vocês sabem, isto são 2 produtos da mesma família. Não se pode estar a dizer bem de um e mal do outro. Há políticas e coisas assim. E então, a melhor maneira mesmo de responder a essa pergunta é mostrando-vos aqui cocktails e receitas em que vocês podem tirar ideias do que fazer com o naked. Sure, go ahead. Show us the cocktails.
Yes, so naked works. For me, it works in pretty much any way you want, but we find that it works very well with fruits, really. And we have some examples here that we have made a play with pineapple. So this is also like a trend that we believe will come more in the future, to use local and seasonal ingredients. So this is an apple example, but this is a pineapple example then, where we have done.
I like the back grill.
It is really nice. These drinks are made together with a global team, but with Barry Wilson and I forgot his name now. Cocktail Hobbit is called on Instagram. If you want to follow a funny account,
I know them both. So
they're fantastic guys.
Okay, so do you guys use them? Oh, okay, good.
We used to do, at least before the pandemic. I hope we can pick it up afterwards. But they have helped us out with these ones. So they are a fun place with sort of classic cocktails, I guess, in one sense. But with the naked, you get, for instance, if you would use famous grouse in these kind of drinks, it would go through a bit more. These drinks would be with naked be more complex and more balanced, so to speak.
Ok. Então o que o Isaac diz, por exemplo, nestes 3 exemplos que nós temos aqui, se isto for feito, se essas bebidas fossem feitas com famous grouse, o álcool sobressaia muito mais. E com o naked há um blend, como é que se diz? Há uma mistura mais completa, onde todos os produtos se complementam. Okay, cool, man. Thanks. They look nice. I need to try some.
You can maybe just do like this on Instagram so you can see them a bit closer up. These drinks, of course, I'm happy to share if someone would like them afterwards.
Yeah. Send them to Hugo.
Yeah.
We'll share details later. Send them to Hugo so you can share with the guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me just show this as well, man. For this is placed on classic cocktails. So it's Dark and Stormy, obviously. Dark and Stormy.
Yeah.
New York Sour. And this one, Beer Your Soul is a whiskey sour tweak with Super Sava and Aquafaba instead. But so to answer the question, it works. Naked Grouse works with pretty much anything, but it works great in sour cocktail, in the sour family, I would say.
Okay.
And with fruits. So play with your fruits.
Yeah, então o que o Isaac está aqui a dizer, praticamente está a dar indicações que isto se calhar seria um espírito mais virado para cocktails com fruta, mas funciona com tudo. Atenção. Got another question for you, buddy.
Yeah, go on.
From Augusto Silva. how many different whiskies in the blend?
I can't tell you.
Ok, Augusto. Ele não pode dizer, é outro segredo, Augusto. Ele não pode dizer quantos whiskies é que estão no blend, ok?
I will one day when I leave the brand, maybe.
You'll get sued.
No, seriously, there is like a unwritten law when it comes to whiskey making, that you don't really talk about that. You don't really talk of what malts goes into the blend and so on. There is a few that does, and it's fine if you want, but we don't. But what I can say is that we mainly use malts from the distillers Edrington owns.
Ok, I'm here. I'm just going to put my phone to charge.
Yeah.
Eu estou aqui, estou só a pôr aqui o telefone a carregar. Então, o que o Isaac está a dizer é que, praticamente, para a pergunta anterior, é uma regra, é uma daquelas regras que não é escrita, mas que as pessoas não dizem, os produtores não dizem. Isso é tipo um segredo. E então ficamos por aqui. Ele diz que um dia, talvez, quando ele sair da marca, talvez possa partilhar, mas não, eu duvido. Right, so I just explained to the guys.
Wicked.
So I don't know. It's so in terms of market, I don't know if you want to add anything to your presentation. I don't know if you've got anything else to show.
No, we went through it. There was just a summary on Naked, but I think we went through it. I think what we with the brand we
I'm listening. My phone is just
with the brand we want to sort of break the Scottish whiskey barrier that it's for old men sitting in Chesterfield. Chesterfield sofas, swirling glasses and talking about peat and shit.
And warming the glasses, yeah? Warming the glasses before. Okay.
So we want to break those barriers and be more fun, be playful, and challenge the barriers. And that's why we focus a lot on the bars and the bartenders that are creative and want to play with the whiskey in their cocktails. And we want also to, I mean, people in general who wants to get out of their comfort zone and do liberating stuff. So that's where we want to position ourselves as a fun, playful brand. But we do take our product very seriously. We make sure we have the best single malts going in there. We use the first filled sherry casks. The sherry casks, which are very expensive as well, but so we do take it very seriously in that sense. I think, Remy Savage is a good friend of mine. He explained the menu once that we take everything very seriously in the prep room, where we use very advanced techniques to create our drinks, but when it comes out to the guests, it should just look nice and taste nice. That's the only thing that counts, and that's sort of Naked as well. We take a lot of things seriously in the background, but when it comes out, it should just be fun, because that's what bartending should be about. It should be fun to go there, you should not take yourself too seriously.
Então, o que o Isaac está a dizer é que praticamente é um trabalho sério que todos eles fazem no Naked, mas eles querem tentar quebrar aquela barreira que existe em muitos produtos. O whisky é um deles, onde é um produto para pessoas mais velhas, pessoas com mais uma certa idade. E então é uma marca divertida, é uma marca, é um produto que tem muita versatilidade e é um produto que é apesar de ser feito com muita seriedade, é um produto que é apresentado de uma forma divertida, como deve ser um bartender. Um bartender hoje em dia trabalha duro no laboratório, se tiver um laboratório ou no prep room, ou antes de abrir, ou durante o menu. Trabalho sério deveria ser feito aí, mas a apresentação deveria ser uma coisa, pronto, uma coisa bonita, uma coisa simples e uma coisa para o cliente. E muitas vezes há aquele problema dos bartenders focarem-se muito neles e esquecerem-se do que é importante, o que lhes traz o dinheiro, que é o cliente. Ok? Yeah, so I think I've explained as much as I could. the philosophy.
My Portuguese is a bit
yeah,
rusty.
my Swedish. Okay. So I've got another question from Davi Simas Alves. So now you just make blended malts?
Yes.
Sim, yes. Davi.
I mean, Famous Grouse is still making blends, but Naked Grouse only blend malt, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so answer to that. Mais algumas perguntas? Any other questions, guys? Mais algumas perguntas? Let me see. How long have we got left? I don't know how long. I'm lost in time. Okay. I got Davi here again. What cereal you search for your blend?
What?
What cereal?
Okay, we're grain.
Grain,
yeah, barley.
Barley.
Same as for anything malt. Same malt.
Davi, barley então. Let me see. Let's see. I was doing some research before we came, and I had a question for you as well. I'm going to ask you a question. Where is it? So, perfect serve. What would you say? You know, you've got the brands, but then we've got you. Okay, how would you say would be the perfect serve? I hope no one from the company is watching.
Okay, I should answer in a politically.
Can I tell you my perfect when a whiskey is good? I like it neat. I like it neat with just one ice, and that's enough.
You know, let's put it this way. For me, working with the brand for now almost, I'm closing up to 5 years with Naked Grouse now. I have tried it probably in all ways that is possible to try it. I hope not my girlfriend is not watching now, but I'm probably the person who has drank the most Naked Grouse in the entire world. I do love it neat. I think it's fantastic neat. I like it on ice. I have tried it in many different cocktail ways. I do think for me as a bartender, it works best in a highball or in a sour version. But when I go out, I tend to always order from the menu because that's what interests me when I come to a new bar or to a bar I've been before as well. If I go to just to have it depends on the moment, I guess. But I like whiskey sodas. I drink loads of whiskey soda. Okay. I think that's very nice.
Well, it is what it is. Eu estava aqui a perguntar ao Isaac, a companhia tem a sua filosofia, os seus métodos de apresentar os perfect serves, e estava a perguntar a ele qual é o perfect serve dele, qual é a maneira que ele prefere beber o whisky, o Naked. E ele estava-me a dizer que, ele gosta de beber só com gelo, como também gosta muito em sours, mas quando vai a um bar, ele nunca pede essas duas versões e sim tenta pedir o que está no menu. Por isso, se for um produto que vocês já usam, estão a pensar usar de futuro, e se ele passar por um dos vossos estabelecimentos, é certo que ele vai experimentar qualquer criação vossa, ok? Tentem. Right, I was just telling the guys, that if one day you come to Portugal and they've got the product already, or if they're planning to have the product, and they've got their own, signature cocktail, you are definitely going for that.
100%. No questions asked, man. That's what I would go for. It is. I mean, it's like, for me, it's like if you go to a restaurant, you won't order pancakes if it's not on the menu. But you do know that they will have eggs, they will have flour, and they will have milk in the kitchen, so they can make pancakes, but it's not on the menu. So I mean, they have worked a lot with this menu, and you should try something from it. I think
I'm the same way, because I've when I used to be a bartender, well, once a bartender, always a bartender, right?
Yeah, well, for sure.
And when I used to Davi Simas here says, let's taste this. So I think he's probably asking you to do it. School.
Yeah,
in Portugal they say saúde.
So I wrote it 4 times in my manuscript. Remember to taste it. I forgot.
I've got. I think we've got a common friend here, Mineas from Red Frog. He's sending a hug. That's a big hug for him as well. Grande abraço também para o Mineas.
I miss him. I hope to be able to come over and see you guys soon.
Yeah. Augusto Silva's asking here, what's your opinion on ginger grouse made with naked? A ginger maybe version of naked?
Well, there was a product maybe 7-8 years ago that was called the ginger grouse, which was an RTD, like a ginger beer sort of. But if he's referring to how it plays with ginger,
no, sorry. Let me interrupt you. Sorry, that's exactly what you just came back. Augusto came back. He said it's the serve, pretty much with ginger and lime.
Works perfect.
I from experience, every time I go to a bar in Portugal, I don't know now. I'll ask the guys in Portuguese. Every time I ask whiskey and ginger, they used to give me ginger ale, and never ginger beer.
Okay.
Something that, if you go to the UK and you ask something with ginger, they're gonna give you ginger beer for sure, 90% of the time.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. In Portugal, it's the other way around.
Or
it was. I need to ask the guys. Então estávamos aqui a falar aqui, eu e o Isaac, a minha experiência em Portugal quando eu vou a um bar em Portugal e peço qualquer coisa com ginger, tende a ser ginger ale. Nós estamos habituados a beber com ginger beer. Não sei se ainda continua a acontecer aqui em Portugal, se vocês puderem responder, força, mas ambas as versões são boas, só que são muito diferentes. So I was just asking the guys to just give me some feedback on that.
On that note as well, one of my favorite cocktails I've tried in the last few years is a bar in Sweden called Gemma. They do a play on this. So basically a play on a horse's neck, I guess, where they carbonate the whole drink with some. They use tea instead of water, and it's amazing. You should, if you come to Sweden, please give me a shout, and we'll go there and we'll try this.
I've been to Sweden. I've been to Sweden a couple of times with a very good friend of mine, Rico from Absolute Vodka.
Hey, I know Rico, man. He's great.
We
I love him.
We used to work together.
All right.
And Jake's bar in Leeds.
Oh, Jake Berger, man.
Yeah, me and him, we used to work for Jake Berger.
All right.
And
he was one of my big inspirations when I lived in London. I used to come to his bar in Portobello Star.
Portobello Star, Mr. Berger's place.
Yes, fantastic bar, fantastic guy.
And he took me to a bar. I can't remember because I've been to the Absolute Distillery, both of them, a few times. But every time I went to a bar, I used to get drunk, me and Rico.
It normally happens when you hang out with Rico.
And he took me to this lovely, lovely bar of these two guys. One of them was bald. It's like a small bar. Shorgate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Really
nice place.
Sweden's only 50 best bar. They've been on 50 best for the last 5 years, I believe. Fantastic guys.
In the world, it's in the top 50, is it?
Yeah, it's in top 50.
Ok, então let me just explain to the guys. Então estávamos aqui a falar aqui das nossas experiências na Suécia. Eu estava aqui a dizer que nós temos aqui um amigo em comum, o Rico Suave, para os amigos, que é o Global Ambassador da Absolute, que está também na Suécia, e sempre que me levavam lá ao bar, que está no top 50, é uma coisinha muito pequenina, vocês entram lá, lembram-se de entrar, mas não se lembram de sair. Grandes noites. Têm mais perguntas? Força, nós temos ainda um bocado de tempo. I'm just asking the guys, you got a bit of time. I don't have whiskey with me, so... Okay, another question. When was launched... It says when the product was launched a few years ago, it was made with ginger ale.
Yep.
I imagine what he's saying when the product was launched in Portugal a few years ago, one of the perfect serves with ginger ale. Okay.
Yeah.
Corretto,
Yeah,
correct.
the first the first serve that we had was naked and cherry Coke.
Naked and cherry Coke.
We come a long way since then. I think it was Barry who created it, to be honest.
Was that focused on the American market?
I wish. No, but so I'm sure, but of course we, as I sort of tried to explain, with Naked we have always had a freedom. We have like nowadays we have the sour hero serve, but there's always been sort of a freedom to all markets to play with it on a local level. So I'm sure they served it with ginger ale or ginger beer or something in Portugal. In my opinion, it tastes great. So
yeah. Another question. I've got a question here from Bartender Magazine Portugal. Hi, what's the naked alcohol percentage?
40%.
40%. Bartender Magazine Portugal. I think that's an interesting question because in the UK, a few years ago, due to tax and due to some research about how we enjoy alcohol, research that came from wine to spirits, and especially in wine, people say that we tend to appreciate wines better at a lower alcohol ABV, and this is a sort of a trend that a discussion that tends to happen between New World and Old World wines. And a few years ago before I go to that, how many bottles do you sell a year? Antonio Simões is asking.
A lot.
Antonio, muitas.
No, we are 47,000 cases.
Of 6 or 12?
8.4 liter cases.
Okay. 46,000 caixas, Antonio. The taste is even better, but a little spicy.
That would go from the sherry casks. You would find that.
Yeah. Okay. So like I was saying, like Bacardi, Bacardi and stuff, they lower the ABV from 40, I think, to 38 or 36. I can't remember now. Yeah. Is that in your plans as well? Do you know if that's part of the no?
No, the other way around, I would say. In the US, we bottle it at 43.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
And I mean, it is, as you say, it's a tax thing.
Yeah.
That's why all Scotch whiskies are 40%. I guess.
Any plans for an overproof or something like that?
I hope so. The one in the US tastes fantastic on 43. So I hope we in the future we will play more on with the ABV and go the other way, go higher then, because the flavors really kicks even more with a bit more ABV. So hopefully.
Então aqui a falar-nos, então o Naked é produzido a 40 na Europa, 40%, mas nos Estados Unidos é 43%, e pelos vistos acho que há para aí um plano de, se tudo correr bem, de fazerem um overproof, que será um bocadinho ainda mais próximos dos 50%, se tudo correr bem, ou acima dos 50%. That would be something amazing to see, something around the 50%.
That would be amazing. Would be fantastic to do it, I think, and especially, I mean, you could do one for the bartending community. That's what I hope for, that we can release something for you guys that works behind the bars, because I mean we do love the ABV when we make our drinks. On that note, I mean, we also play a bit with the low ABV drinks when it comes to cocktails. We have played with that, and I think that's something. Low ABV is a category that is growing, and it's. I mean, we are taking care of ourselves a bit better, and of course we sort of want to adapt to that as well. So we have made some plays where we use instead of using Naked as the base, we use it as the modifier. So, like in a sherry cobbler. Just add a little little bit of whiskey, and the drink pops fantastically. So, stuff like
And
that we play with.
just a quick question: Portugal is very big on classics,
Mhm.
and can you recommend any that you prefer with the famous, with the naked? Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. And myself, I think this is sort of where we're always going to come from. I mean, the classics are classics for a reason, and they're easy to play with. But instead of maybe looking at classic whiskey cocktails, I would recommend you guys to look at other classics. Like my friends at Shogat that we talked about, they made a tweak on the espresso martini with naked. So naked, a syrup on fennel and a cold brew that shake it up, perfect. But I think like politically correct, I have to say whiskey sour, but for me, do play with it in other spirits. Like me, I like to do like a grape Collins with naked. Works fantastic. Grape and naked works fantastic together.
Ok, então fiz aqui a pergunta ao Isaac, tipo, quais são os clássicos que ele prefere fazer com o produto, e ele diz que, claro que o sour é sempre aquele que ele recomenda, mas o que ele recomenda também é tentar fazer clássicos com o naked que não sejam clássicos originais de whisky. Vocês podem saltar o padrão, pegar qualquer coisa que seja feita de vodka e tentar com whisky, ou de rum e tentar com whisky, como o Collins, como ele estava aqui a sugerir. I've got another question from Augusto Silva. The water used in the production is the same as the regular famous grouse?
Good question. It depends a bit on what you mean. If you mean the water that is used when you make the malts, then no or yes. Famous grouse. When you make famous grouse, you use loads of different malts, and some of those malts are also when we make naked. So yes, in that sense, no, in another sense. And when it comes to when we water it down, I guess that's what you're referring to. Then yes, it's done at Great Western. So yeah.
Então, Augusto, para a pergunta do Augusto, qual é a água utilizada, se a água utilizada para fazer o naked é a mesma que o Famous Grouse, ele disse que sim e não, porque nos vários blends, nos outros whiskies, uns sim, outros não, mas se for no produto final, quando o produto está final e temos que diluir para chegar aos 40%, aí sim, aí a água é igual, a água de Famous é a mesma utilizada para o naked. Cool, that's an interesting question, because there was a trend a few years ago about using glacier water, especially where you are, suddenly all the brands were using glacier water, the most pure of the waters. Even if you're in the US, you would get, I don't know how,
imported glacier water.
I don't know how,
or at least they said
and drag it down. It's a nice marketing story, isn't it?
I mean, of course, the water is important, and in Scotland, I mean, the main or most of the distilleries are in Speyside, and they use the same water from River Spade and Islay. I mean, the water is important, no questions asked, but it's not as important as the casks. I would say, like 85% of the flavor from in the whiskey comes from the casks. So.
Estava aqui a perguntar ao Isaac, há uns anos atrás haviam muitas histórias, muitos produtos que vinham ao mercado e falavam muito sobre a água, que a água vinha do glaciar, o glaciar mais antigo, deste sítio, daquele sítio, davam tanto ou mais importância à água do que o produto mesmo. Mas o que o Isaac está aqui a dizer é que, pronto, todos os whiskies na Escócia a água é importante, por isso não é um tópico que é assim muito falado, porque é importante e pronto, e eles tentam utilizar o melhor que há, porque porque no norte, eu por experiência sei que já fui a várias destilarias, a água é espetacular no norte da Escócia. So I'm just telling the guys that, you know, I personally been to a few distilleries in Scotland, not just whiskey but gin as well. And you know, they don't talk as much of the water as they used to years ago when the trend of the water. Why? Because the water is important, like you said, in Scotland, you know. So it is what it is. And like any other product, you try and get as the best that you can, depending on, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, let me see if there's any more questions. Mais perguntas? Tem mais perguntas? No? If they don't have questions, I've got lots of questions, mate. Favorite bar in the world? Go.
Oof, fantastic question. I do.
And why?
And why? Can I name 3?
Yeah, go.
Okay, so I love the
After.
club.
So what we're gonna do is you give me one and why, and then I'll tell the guys, and then I'll go back to you. Okay. Go.
Okay. So I do love. Okay, I'm gonna need 4. Shorget again. Shorget are very close to my heart. They're good friends of mine. They sort of are big inspiration to the whole Nordic bar industry. The fantastic atmosphere, even during the pandemic.
Yeah, it's still open, right?
It's still open until 8 o'clock. They closed half an hour ago.
We can't fly, otherwise, you know, I would come. How do you spell the name of the bar again?
As a TJ O G.
Georgie. How do you pronounce it? Georgie.
Shorget.
Ok. Eu perguntei ao Isaac quais são os melhores bares para ele e por que razão. O primeiro que ele disse-me é o Georgic, que é um bar na Suécia, Stockholm.
Yes.
Pronto, é um bar que foi um dos primeiros bares a fazer bebidas nórdicas, ok? É um bar muito próximo do coração dele, os donos são amigos dele, e é um bar onde a atmosfera é espetacular. Eu comprovo porque eu já o tive várias vezes. Ok, second, go.
I would say Himcock in Oslo. They are the faces of hospitality for me. They are just amazing guys, amazing drinks. The service is always on top, and they have been revolutionaries almost in with their own distillery inside of the bar. So
Steam Cook in Oslo é o número 2, porque a hospitalidade lá é fantástica, as bebidas são demais e parece que é um sítio onde é muito acarinhado. Third.
Little Red Door in Paris.
In Paris. Love it.
Little Red Door for me has always been a massive inspiration. First time I was there was quite some years ago now, and just the way they work around menus and it's just a fantastic place.
O terceiro bar é um bar em Paris, é o Little Red Door, ou a Pequena Porta Vermelha. As bebidas são espetaculares, outro bar que eu recomendo também. Foge um bocadinho àqueles bares típicos que as pessoas têm na cabeça de Paris, que os franceses são muito antipáticos e coisas assim, sabe? Não, eu pessoalmente, e tanto o Isaac confirmamos que é um sítio espetacular. And fourth.
The Clumsies in Athens. It's the best party I've ever been to, I believe it. No, but seriously, the guys have done an amazing job down there. Nikos and Vasilis and the guys, they are just amazing drinks, amazing atmosphere. They also, I mean, the geekiness to the details. I mean, the coffees you get to Clumsies is amazing. Like they have everything, and then they kick off a massive party during Athens Bar Show, which is just mental.
Yeah. I know, but there's a reason why Tony's probably trying to open a business in Greece. You know, e o quarto bar é o bar na Grécia. How do you spell it? How do you say again the name of the bar in Greece?
Clumsies.
Clumsies. Oh, Clumsies na Grécia in Athens. I've got another question from Davi Simazovs. You already go to Brazil?
I've been to Brazil when I was younger, traveling around, not with work, but I'm looking forward to an invite.
Então, para a resposta do Davi, se ele já esteve no Brasil, ele disse que foi de férias quando era mais novo, mas não por trabalho. Mas se alguém tiver aí do Brasil e quiser lhe convidar, força. Acho que ele está desejando. After the pandemic.
After the pandemic, I've heard many good things. My friend was there to open up a bar in Sao Paulo that I can't really remember the name of. Mauricio, I think it's called that.
Mauricio.
Yeah, he used to own the bar. Fantastic guy. So I would love to go.
Got another question?
Whenever you
Carlos,
want.
Yeah, man. I got another question from Carlos Joia. Outra pergunta do Carlos Joia. Isaac, for you, which are the best bartenders in terms of taste and development to approach perfection? Então, o Carlos pergunta ao Isaac quais são os melhores bartenders no ponto de vista dele, que trabalham bem e desenvolvem o paladar e a approach para a perfeição. So, which bartenders?
Very difficult question. I want to name a lot of people.
I think I know why. I got asked that a few times, and it's difficult. I agree with you. It's difficult because we all have different palettes.
Let's put it this way: people that has inspired me in my bartending, and also nowadays when I got to go around the world to see bartenders, I think. For me, I can't take away the lab boys then back in the days.
When John Gakura was there, did you manage to go there when Gakura was the manager?
No, he was not.
Yeah,
it was Ali, the Scottish guy first, and then Stuart from Australia. But anyways, so those guys will always be important to me. Further on in my career, I think I do think like Remy Savage has been a big inspiration for me. I do think Odd Strandbacken from Oslo is a great inspiration for me. Also, of course, I lost Philip Bishop and Joe Schofield. I mean, these guys, I think they are amazing.
I used to work with Joe as well. We used to work at Jake's as well.
Yeah. I can imagine you did. Joe has been, I think he's amazing.
Both brothers. I worked with both of them.
Dan should be mentioned. I think he's amazing as well. I'm really looking forward to the bar in
Actually,
Manchester.
I was the one who recommended him for 69 Cold Broke.
You see. I do think. Rory Shepard, I think he's fantastic. I do think Nikos and Vasilis in clumps is again. Mo Al Jaff, I love a Mo Al Jaff, man. He's a fucking genius. Sorry for swearing, but he is. Patrick Pistolesi, I think, is fantastic as well. And of course, I mean, for me, I have to mention Calabrese, because I was looking up to him when I was starting bartending. Man, he's
Calabrese, the father or the son?
The father. Salvatore Calabrese, and no one can free pour without a free pourer like him. Man, he's an absolute legend in my book.
Calabrese, it's a legend for me as well. And I'll tell you this in a second. Então, depois da pergunta do Carlos de Joia para o Isaac, quais são os melhores bartenders no ponto de vista dele? São tantos, por razões diferentes. Uns porque foi quando ele começou a carreira, outros porque lhe mudaram de direção. Por isso são muitos para dizer, e se calhar muitos de vocês nem conhecem, ou podem até conhecer. E esta é uma pergunta difícil porque é difícil porque depende dos gostos de cada um também, percebem? Então é mais uma vez daquelas coisas que vocês têm que seguir os trends. Okay, I've got another question. Okay, let me see. Let's go search for Florianópolis. Is the best place in Brazil, says Davi.
I've been to Florianópolis, actually.
Have you?
Yeah, when I was 20 years old, backpacking in South America, I've been to Florianópolis, and I would love to come, man. I would love to come.
Davi, ele diz que já esteve em Florianópolis quando tinha 20 anos. 20 e poucos anos. Okay, man. You didn't leave any kids there, did you?
Yeah, I hope not. No. Again, I hope my girlfriend's not watching. But
Okay. Então, I've got a story about Calabrese actually. When it was 2007. When I used to work in the UK, my first World Finals were for UKBG in Puerto Rico, San Juan. And of course, Calabrese at the time was the UKBG president. Yeah. And I did not know, I don't know if you know this, the man is a great goalkeeper. We used to call him the cat. Honestly, he used to move like a cat. And this was, it's 13 years ago, 14 years ago. He must have been by then already, like 56.
100.
56, because I never know the age of Salvatore or Peter Dorelli. Peter Dorelli stopped in the 70s.
Salvatore celebrated 50 years as a bartender last year or 2 years ago, maybe. Okay. And he started when he was 13 or something. So he's like 65 now.
60,
maybe.
Okay, 65. Okay. Yeah.
Give or take.
Okay, give or take. Estávamos aqui a falar aqui these Italians. Estávamos aqui a falar aqui de uma das nossas inspirações, que é o Salvatore Calabrese, que fechou 50 anos o ano passado de bartender, de carreira de bartender. E estávamos aqui a falar aqui de umas histórias sobre ele. Não sei se o Hugo está presente, o Hugo Silva. I don't know if Hugo is present or he wants to come forward.
There was a question on books.
Books?
I don't know where.
Here is Hugo. There was a question on books.
Yeah, if I saw it very quickly, like if I had any book. Yeah. Do you have any books about drinks, cocktail mixology, pointers? I will do like this. I have a few different that I love, but I do on my Instagram. I've ran something called the Bartenders Book Club. During the pandemic, I've done 2 seasons where famous people from the bar industry recommend their books that have inspired them. So I would recommend you to go onto my Instagram. So ISAC MELANDER, my name on Instagram, and just have a look there. But for me, like the Flavor Bible, I think is a fantastic book to read.
I've got it. I collect books as well. I collect books and glassware. Unfortunately, I'm running out of space.
Last book I read was Proof 101. I think it's also a very good book.
250 cocktails. That's Hugo's book. You need to get it. You need to get him to put it on. Estávamos aqui a falar aqui da pergunta do Davi Simas Alves. Qual é os livros que
I was going to give it out to. Yeah, sorry, go on.
E ele diz que vários. Ele criou um clube, um book club, que vocês podem ter acesso no Instagram page dele, onde ele pede a vários bartenders reconhecidos e conhecidos para falarem do seu livro favorito. É só seguirem a conta de Instagram dele e podem ter acesso a esses livros. Yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I just want to give a shout for books. Tristan Stevenson, The Curious Bartender series, I think is a very good read. Dead Rabbit, yeah.
Dead Rabbit.
Why not? No, but I love books. I do have a lot of them, and I do think there should be more books.
The problem with books is the Salvatore book, Classic Cocktails from Salvatore Calabrese.
I do have that one.
Yeah, I have it as well. I think I might have given them that one actually. I had to sign copies. What's he showing us? Yeah, the Savoy. Tens algumas perguntas? Queres fazer?
Não, está tudo. Estou feliz aqui de estar. Estou muito feliz.
Okay, so I was just asking Hugo if he had any questions. He said he doesn't have any. He says he's happy. As long as he's happy, I'm happy. And if you're happy as well, man.
I'm super happy, man. This has been super fun. I've done during the pandemic. I've done quite a few online tastings, and this is by far the most fun one I've done.
Oh man! Look at this.
Thank you for having me, guys. It's been amazing.
Okay, so Carlos Loja, he's got another question. What about Cocktail Codex?
I do have it at home. It's a great book. Great read.
Me too. Hugo, então, como é que queres fazer? Queres continuar?
Olha, podemos se calhar ir ao Kahoot. Não sei se querem fazer, se querem participar. Temos aqui alguns, vamos lá ver quem é que está aqui o vez. Deixa-me lá aqui mostrar.
Hugo is saying that, we're about to finish, but he's saying something about Kahoot. I don't know, o que é o Kahoot?
É umas perguntas que há aí, podemos usar o telemóvel como comando, e participem, participem. Olha, está aí no ecrã, estás a ver? Podemos ficar aqui e ver as questões.
Ok, Kahoot, Veras Bogas, Graça, Carlos, isso são que são perguntas?
Ao fim e ao cabo, é questões sobre o whisky que vamos fazer.
Okay.
E que tem a hipótese de responder. Pronto, é uma brincadeira.
Okay, so Hugo is saying this is like a game that people ask you questions. It's like a game. I don't know. On my screen, I see some names, but I can't see any questions. Can you see any questions?
No, I can see.
We can start now, if you want.
Okay,
yeah,
sure. Start. Yeah. Have you got time?
Yeah, man. Yeah, go on.
Go on. Bora, Hugo. Bora. Põe lá isso então para a gente ver. Master Whiskey.
Oh.
3, 2, 1. What's this?
Quiz.
It's a quiz.
Oh.
From what ingredients is whiskey produced? Barley, agave, cocoa, coconut, or sugar water.
Am I supposed to answer, or is there someone else?
No.
Se respondem, Hugo.
So.
The guys are going to answer. Okay. Yeah, so they got it right. They got it right. Barley.
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone thought cocoa, but yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a terrible teacher, man. Sorry.
What's the next question? Okay, so Ismael is winning. I think probably because he was first. Is that another question? Is that it? I'll translate to you. How can you find? How do you write whiskey?
Ooh.
In a label. So you've got the three options here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whiskey. Both of them.
We can have the both.
Depends what country you are making your whiskey.
Yeah, if it's America, it's different from.
Yeah. Everyone that's ever hated England spells it with E.
Okay, so this is from these countries, which ones use the word whiskey? EY. Are you a fan of Japanese whiskeys?
I am. I do think they might be a bit overrated, some of them. But they do make fantastic whiskeys. I do think so. A bit pricey, but
we share the same opinion. Nika from the Barrel and all those.
We are very lucky here in the Nordics. We distribute Beam Suntory's products. So then we do have Yamazaki and Hakashu in our portfolio. So I get to taste them every now and then. Very
fantastic.
Happy. Okay.
Who was the first one to produce whiskey?
Trick.
Scottish monks, Scottish barbarians, Irish monks, American kings.
Depends who you ask, man.
Yeah, historians. So let me see. So Scottish monks is what most people answered.
I think Irish monk. John Core, I think, is the first person that had a written recipe in 1492.
Of the whiskey, yeah.
Like whiskey bar was his first, so it was like the first.
So actually, this question here is actually to your answer just now.
Oh.
You know, where's the first reference of whiskey to date?
Okay, I was wrong.
1494, 1614.
I was close, but wrong.
O que eles ganham? Se ganharem o jogo.
1494. Yeah.
Another one?
Is whiskey a firewater? Like aguardiente, like sugar cane. Made of vegetables, cereals, or fruits.
Okay.
Aguardiente, firewater is like a category they use in Portugal for like high ABV spirits. You know, so it doesn't really translate properly.
No.
Because if you think about firewater, you think about sugarcane. You think about those things.
Yeah. Grain, I think, is the English word for what you whiskey with.
Okay, so Irish blend is achieved with which blend? Malt, barley, malt, and various weeds and fucking hell, Jesus!
It's great content for the Instagram followers.
Oh man, the swearing as well, right? So Mikey just walked in before, and he was like, "Here's some sushi." And I was like, "Okay, I think it's 20 questions in total." Okay, which of these factors contributed for the rise of global consumption of whiskey? I think clicks on internet, distribution companies. And the end of o que é whisky de Alverca? O que é whisky de Alverca?
O whisky de Alverca era aquele que era assim do Zabujo, estás a ver?
Ok.
Ali de Alverca, saca bem.
Olha, eu acho que ele está pronto para sair, porque as horas são 2 horas lá mais lá. Achas que devemos acabar ou queres mantê-lo aqui mais um bocado?
Ok, é só para dizer quem ganhou aqui.
Ok, queres ver? So, Isaac, we're just waiting for the game to finish so you can pronounce the winner.
Okay.
12 more questions. This is going to be quick. Have another sip of whiskey. I would as well. I will go Phantom.
Yeah.
I'll go Phantom, but we can chat while these guys are going through it.
Sure.
So when was the last time you left the country in Sweden?
We did an event or a guest shift at Little Red Door in Paris in February last year. So that was the last time, and I was booked to go. In March, I was booked to go to Helsinki to do a drink festival there in Finland, and then I was meant to fly from there to Dominican Republic to visit the Brugal distilleries. But on my way to the airport, they called from the company and say we have travel restrictions. You can't go anywhere, so we had to cancel everything the same day, pretty much. So Paris was the last. That was February last year. So it's been a year in Sweden, which is the first whole year in Sweden I've had since I was 12.
Right.
I love to travel. I love to see new countries, new places. It's been very, very.
It's been hard, yeah. I know. I'm the same thing.
But also from the bottom of my heart, I've had the blessing of my daughter was born in May,
Congratulations, man.
Thank you very much. So it's been fantastic in that sense to be home with her every day of her life, which is just an amazing thing. But I do miss being on the road, and normally I would be with you guys presenting live, and I do miss that a lot.
Right. The time will come back again. In a few. Hope maybe next year, who knows? But we'll look back, and it's just an episode.
I really hope so.
Yeah, me too. Hugo, eu tenho que me despedir. Infelizmente.
Vamos todos embora.
Estás aí, Hugo? Hello? So I was just asking Hugo, and he disappeared. I think he's probably getting the final results of the quiz to the guys. Yeah. And yeah, man. And do you see much of Rico at all, or not really?
More nowadays, but when he's here. But yeah, we do see each other from time to time. I think Shoget is is our sort of neighborhood
hangout place.
Yeah. So we do see each other there quite a lot. And I mean, we do we do sort of support each other here. Before the pandemic, when we had guests coming over, we sort of, he attended a lot, some of the guest shifts we had, and such. So I mean, we are a very small market up here, so we try to help each other out instead of competing. I think that's
the way that should be, to be honest.
Yeah,
with you. Even among similar brands, in the same category.
100%.
An old mentor of mine used to tell me, there's no such thing as a bad product. If it's in the market and he sells, you may not like it, I may not like it, but someone is, and I've worked with a lot of brands, and I'm not going to tell you, some of the brands I've worked with, and I'm going to give you, for example, Lamb's Navy. I worked with Lamb's Navy, and at one point they were the most sold rum in UK, and then they got bought back by Pernod Ricard. It was crazy.
Right.
But it was just like one of those things that you thought, it was in a pub category, and then revamped it, and boom, it was nuts. Hugo, já tens os resultados?
Olha, ficou então em primeiro o JRFR. Vou só partilhar aqui o ecrã, ver se dá.
Hugo's just going to share the winners, and then I don't know what type of prize he's going to get. Que prémio que ele vai ganhar?
Give a shout to Guilherme, and they can have a bottle of Naked as a prize.
Vai receber uma garrafa. Tem direito.
É? Okay, he's going to get a bottle.
Uma Naked Grouse, não é uma garrafa. Uma Naked Grouse. Naked Grouse bottle.
Absolutely,
okay.
That's perfect.
JRFR. Ok, Hugo, então vamos nos despedir. Queres fazer tuas despedidas, Hugo?
Vamos despedir. Um grande abraço a todos. Obrigado por terem participado. Thank you, Isaac. Obrigado, Nino. E podes despedir. E foste tu lindo, meu. Muito obrigado por ter estado aqui connosco. E tu fazes as honras, Nino.
Ok. Obrigado a todos. Isaac, thank you very much. Mate, first, we haven't met before officially. This is the first time. It won't be the last.
I hope not.
Yeah?
I hope not.
I hope not. Anywhere in the world, I'm sure we'll keep in touch. I'll follow you on Instagram, and Hugo as well, and we'll keep in touch. Wish you all the best. Desejamos-te o melhor do fundo do coração for this journey with Naked, and your new daughter, e a tua nova filha. E esperamos que quando a virose acabar, a gente se encontre todos e num barzinho a celebrar Naked. I hope when the pandemic finishes, we all meet, and big hug and a toast, or how do you say, a skål?
Skål.
Yeah, skål.
Yeah, and from me, just thank you very much, guys. This has been fantastic. It's been super fun. This was the quickest 2 hours in a very long time. No, thank you very much, and please just if you guys that are listening have any questions or anything, just reach out on my Instagram. And
I'll mention, yeah.
and just obrigado.
Ok. Então, se alguém tiver mais dúvidas, é só seguir o Isaac no Instagram, ele responde às perguntas que tiverem. E da minha parte, do Isaac, da Cocktail Team, obrigado a todos, está bem? E até à próxima.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado.
Thank you, guys.
Tchau, tchau.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Muito obrigado a todos uma vez mais. E tivemos aqui uma grande participação do ISAC, que esteve aqui connosco a falar do Naked Grouse, que vos aconselho a todos a terem no bar e a degustarem este mesmo espírito. E espero-vos ver mais. Amanhã iremos ter Gustavo Maia, que irá estar connosco a falar como é que criou este gin de alma, de conhecimento, de tudo que venha das experiências, que é tudo que um barman vive. E depois teremos o mundialmente famoso Simone Bodini, que irá falar da Stolichnaya, que será um prazer tê-lo aqui, um ex-vencedor de Flair Bartending, um campeão mundial de Flair Bartending. E iremos terminar a semana com Rui de Almeida, um embaixador de sucesso em Portugal, que irá, de certeza, passar fronteiras e irá falar da Plantation. E iremos começar a próxima semana com o embaixador do ano de 2018, um grande amigo, Miguel Maia, que irá falar do Litributo, uma marca que não era conhecida para os portugueses. E quando um profissional de sucesso pega numa marca, fará toda a diferença, poderá conhecer a marca e poderá-vos dar a conhecer o que é a marca. Estaremos aqui convosco, então, até amanhã, sempre às 6 horas, mudou das 9 para as 6, porque estávamos numa continuidade do Prémio Bartender. O Prémio Bartender teve o privilégio de ter estes excelentes profissionais aqui convosco, como nós tivemos hoje, Isaac Melander, Nino Lopes, que será um privilégio estar connosco nos Prémio Bartenders, onde vocês poderão ter um contacto direto com eles mesmos e, portanto, estejam aqui connosco sempre das 6 às 7. Hoje foi muito mais tempo porque foi muito divertido e temos sempre um quiz no final que poderemos falar e ficar com algumas coisinhas a matutar sobre o que é o whisky, o que é a vodka, o que é o gin, o que é o rum. Vamos falar sobre tudo isso. Muito obrigado a todos, um grande bem-aja e até amanhã às 6 horas.
O que marcou foi a quantidade de informação que conseguiram passar praticamente num mês, ou menos de um mês, e toda a experiência que tivemos com as pessoas que vieram fazer as formações. Foi uma seleção muito boa porque, para além de terem formação na área, já chegaram se calhar alguns ao topo da carreira e os outros para lá caminham, mas em termos de formadores foram todos muito bons. Para além de tudo, eu não conheço muito bem, mas desde que eu comecei a trabalhar na área do bar, o que mais conheço é o Miguel Lapa. Acho que é um formador muito bom, de fácil comunicação, muito prestativo. É continuar a evoluir, não parar a formação, porque acho que é o melhor que nós podemos ter. Já recomendo, sou de Setúbal, a todos os alunos da Escola de Turismo de Setúbal vão sempre ao bar onde eu estou e todos eles levam um flyer com eles para a escola, para tentarem
Aquilo que me marcou mais foi ter conhecido excelentes pessoas que vão ser uns ótimos profissionais e que espero trabalhar com eles em breve. Adorei todos os formadores, por isso acho que foi uma experiência muito enriquecedora. Hugo Silva, Pedro Costa, Rui de Almeida, Ana Silvestre, foram inúmeros aqueles que passaram aqui na Cocktail Team que nos deram formação e foram 5 estrelas. Diria que daqui 2-3 anos vejo-me como chefe de bar e estou a trabalhar para isso. Eu já recomendei, no entanto, sempre que há um evento eu partilho com todos os meus amigos no Facebook, também pessoalmente, por isso agora é aguardar que alguém possa vir fazer o curso através da minha parte.
Neste curso marcou muita coisa, os formadores, os colegas, a forma de trabalhar, o empenho dos formadores, dos alunos, a escola em si, o material, tudo isso e mais. Achei os formadores todos impecáveis. Neste caso foi o que nos acompanhou mais em todo o processo, 5 estrelas. Não tenho nada a dizer, só coisas boas. E os outros formadores também cá tiveram, uns uma passagem mais curta, outros mais tempo, impecáveis todos. Expectativas é terminar aqui o curso e conseguir algo bom daqui para a frente, ir para um bar bom. Já recomendei bastante, tanto através das redes sociais como através de boca a boca, para amigos e de amigos para outros amigos, e recomendo a 100%.
O que me marcou mais neste curso foi, se calhar, alguns contactos que vamos fazendo com embaixadores, com professores que percebem muito da área, e acabamos por aprender bastante as coisas deles. Eu gostei bastante. Todos eles percebiam mesmo das áreas que estavam aqui a falar, muitos deles percebiam de muito mais áreas até, que facilitava muito. Gostei muito do Lapa, por exemplo, muito bom, e outros também. Para o futuro quero abrir o meu espaço lá na Madeira, já recomendei e recomendaria sem dúvida nenhuma.